Okay folks, welcome to a new series of videos. Now we used to do these videos on our other channel and they were very popular at the time. We kind of stopped doing it for a little while due to various pressures. So now, here we are again, and we're going to start looking at antiques picking again. So this series of videos is called Antiques Picking. Guess what? So what we have here is what you typically find in cigarette boxes is cards. Now these are not necessarily cigarette cards, they can also be tea cards, because you used to get these in tea as well. Now these are particularly interesting because they're actually stereoscopic. As you can see, there's two images, and what you do is you have a viewer in which you view the two images, and the whole picture just comes to life. And it's really bizarre the way it does come to life, because you just all of a sudden you see things that you just didn't see before in the picture, because it's 3D. It's really wacky, and there's a few series of these that we have here, and there's quite a lot of interest in this kind of thing, but mainly in the equipment. We don't sell quite so many of the pieces that are just the cards. So this is one on dinosaurs, and I think this one's various. I think famous places across the world. I think this one. And each card has a set of double cards which can be used with a stereoscopic viewer. So it's quite interesting if you see those around the place and you see a viewer. It's worth having a look. Okay, so the next off, this is pretty much a Victorian object. During the American Civil War, Mr. Goodyear invented a hardening process for rubber, and he used it to make money, as you might expect in America. He used it to make buttons for the Civil War. This technique it's not true plastic, and it's not actually proper bakelite either. Sometimes it's called vulcanite. It's like it's not vulcanized rubber either, really, but it's like it is actually made of rubber. It's a natural material, and it's heated up until the rubber goes hard. So it's almost like an aging process they apply to it. And it was used in Victorian times to make various little decorative objects such as this. And this is a beautiful old photo frame that you can see there with a daguerreotype tin plate photo on the back there. I think it's silver plate photo in the back there with beautiful decoration on it. And it's a nice little piece. And these are not so popular at the moment, so if you like this kind of thing, you can get these as a bargain right now, because at one time people were paying quite a lot of money for these, but now they're not so popular. And there's a minor fault just there where my thumb is there too, but otherwise it's a beautiful little item. Okay, what we have here is an Alfred Dunhill, and it's a sunburst compact, and it's actually called the Wiper, I think, if I'm really. Just have a look at the back. Windshield wiper. Windshield wiper. It's actually called the windshield wiper, which is weird. I don't know why, but it's just a strange thing to call a compact when you're trying to sell it to lovely ladies. Essentially, if you see this here, this bit here, it sweeps up and down the window. Essentially it's got a little bit of felt on the back, and what it does is it cleans the lady's powder off the mirror as you open the compact. That's pretty good, eh? Quite a funky little item, and it's hardly used really. Unfortunately it doesn't have its mesh in it, but you could easily replace the mesh. It's not difficult to do that. It's made of gilt plate, and it doesn't really have any wear on the gilt plate. I mean, it has been used, but it doesn't have any wear in it. So it's actually a very nice little item, and these are worth picking up. Dunhill's items are quite sought after. These are not the rarest, but it is an interesting collector's piece. Okay, lastly we've got this little camera. This is Kodak Hawkeye. You see a lot of these, what's called a Kodak Brownie, which is a slightly larger camera than this. They usually take 120 roll film, which is very old-fashioned film that's on an actual roll that you have to unroll in the dark. It's just kind of strange when you consider that today's films, which are almost now obsolete too, come in like a special, well, what you call a cassette, I think it's called. So this little window here, this is where you can see the number of the picture you're taking. It also helps you to line up the number of the picture with the frame. So obviously if the number's off slightly, then the frame will be off slightly, because there's no mechanism inside these to control that, which is kind of interesting. It opens very simply. It is literally just a tight tin lid fit, which I'll try and get off in a moment. The shutter, you can see there, you can just see it clicking. The shutter clicks perfectly. And this, believe it or not, that is not a handle, that is a viewfinder. That is how you frame your shots. That is really interesting, isn't it? This here, of course, this is how you wind the camera on. Now you can see inside this camera, essentially it's very, very, very simple. You've put a roll of film in here, you wind it on through on the other side onto the other spool, and then you keep the old spool and you put that there, and then you put the new film in there, and then you keep loading. So there you go, place slotted end of empty spool here. It's a bit like one of those old war notices, isn't it, from World War II or something. Don't panic, place your empty spool here. So it's kind of fascinating, little camera, and very, very simple affair. And of course this is a design that hasn't changed since Victorian times and is still the same now. The main difference, of course, is the media. We now use digital media, and it's almost impossible now to get photographic stuff actually processed unless you do it yourself. Although there are places that still will do it. Well, that's an interesting little camera, and that's a miniature version of the Brownie, effectively. Well folks, that brings us to the end of this little video about picking antiques, and look out for some other videos. We'll keep going with it and see if it gets any interest. Thanks very much for watching.